Welcome to Pathway Stones Podcast. Here you'll find honest conversations about faith, family, struggle, purpose, culture, and the lessons that the journey teaches us. There's no scripts, no polished performances, just real people talking about the things that matter most. Our faith isn't something we turn on and off when the cameras start rolling. It's simply the road that we've walked. It's the foundation beneath our feet, and the reason we kept putting one foot in front of the other. So whether you share our faith, you're still searching, or you're just looking for something real, you've got a seat at this table. So pour yourself a cup of coffee, pull up a chair, and let's leave another stone on the trail. Welcome to Pathway Stones. Welcome, Bruce.
Welcome, Zach. How you doing today?
Man, if I was doing any better, it would be illegal.
Is that
in
right?
like at least 15 states. Yeah.
You know what happens in less than a month?
What's going on in less than a month?
Georgia Bulldog season kicks off.
Oh boy, yeah. We're already painting the town red. Can't wait. I'm a little excited to see what old Gunner can do this year.
He needs to be better than last year.
So I saw this statistic or this blurb, I guess the best way to put it. They calculate the strength of schedule. They calculate the team, like the efficiency of the team last year versus the expected efficiency this year, and we're expected to go 12-0 during the regular season.
Well, I hope they're right.
Hope they're right, because we have to go to Alabama. We play Ole Miss this year, who put us out during the playoffs last year. Mm-hmm. I know one thing: the Bulldog Nation is not going to be happy if we get a first-round exit again.
That would not be good.
No,
that was very, very.
Now I don't think Kirby's job is in question. He's gone like 40-something and 6 over the last 4 years, I think. And I don't think his job is in question, but people are getting antsy. You know, first round playoff ejection.
Not good.
Yeah, it's not a good thing, especially when they've set the bar where they've set it. So we need to do a little housekeeping before we get started.
We do.
This is episode 7.
7.
Is that right?
Yep.
Episode 7. And we've been working really hard on it. I think our quality is. I mean, we're learning a lot.
Yeah, I think so.
This has been a labor of love for both of us, but we've got this will make episode 7 in the in what they call it, in the bag, in the tank,
in the tank.
In the tank.
Yeah.
So, you have anything you want to tell? Our
I
faithful
mean,
listeners?
we're so grateful that you're listening to us, and we do have a number of followers who can't wait for the next episode to come out, which we're grateful for that. We need from you a couple things. We'd love your feedback. Any feedback you want to give us is important. I mean, we're trying to walk this thing out, and I think every week we learn something new.
Absolutely,
and we're trying to prove it. We'd love for you to share this with others. I mean, our goal is that not just a few people are touched by what we say, but that a lot of people are touched by what we say. And we'd love for you to like what you hear.
Yeah.
And I think those 3 things: feedback, sharing, and liking what you hear, it would be really, really important for us.
So we need interactions from you guys.
Absolutely.
Whether like and share on Facebook, on YouTube. One thing that really jumped out to me last week, it was sort of late Monday night when it finally loaded in. We had a couple hiccups with our service. I think it may have had something to do with the storm stuff that had come through. But before I could even have it posted on Facebook, I noticed we had like 4 or 5 views already on YouTube before we ever even announced that it was up and going. So it's good.
That's a good thing.
You guys are doing your job.
Yeah.
We just need your help with being intentional. So hit the thumbs up, hit the share button, and put it out there for all of your friends to see, because we feel like that the stories that God's given us, we want them to have purpose. So,
Yep, absolutely.
So last week, let's jump right into this. Last week, we were talking about a trip that you guys had planned to go to Hawaii.
Yes.
You had used the term that it was a trip of a lifetime. And
It started out to be a trip of a lifetime.
well, it ended up being the trip of a lifetime.
It ended up being a trip of a life.
Trip of a life, that's right. So you guys got out there and discovered that Karen was right in the middle of a major health crisis.
Yeah.
And we're not just talking about uncomfortable. We're talking about life and death hanging
Absolutely.
in the balance.
Yeah.
And we're not going to go back into that.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, check out the previous episode if you want to know the details on that. So last week we laid out all of the details about the story.
Yeah.
Well, we
Not
intentionally,
all of them.
we intentionally held
Yeah,
some back
right,
because we
right.
wanted to be able to share this. This week we want to talk about the precision of God.
Yeah.
And you and I are both believers.
Yes.
I don't think we hide that any bit. We don't hit people over the head with our faith. We believe that lovingly living it out in front of people is the best method. It's not something like we say in the intro. It's not something we turn on and off when the
Right.
cameras are rolling.
That's right.
Rolling. It's something that we live out. And a lot of what we've learned has been struggle. We've learned through hard times. We've learned through struggles. We've learned through seasons that we've walked through, and that's the whole purpose of what we're doing here.
That's right.
We believe that those lessons that we learned and those hard fought, to steal the lyrics of the song, the hard fought hallelujahs, right?
Exactly.
Right.
Those
Those things
certainly was one of those.
Absolutely. So, I want to start off with a question, and this is something that this is going to be a softball for you because you and I have had this conversation probably 15 times, and it's gotten to be the point where we just kind of nod at each other and we just say this, but for all of those people out there that haven't been privy to our boat conversations, do you believe in coincidences?
No, not at all. I don't.
Tell me why.
Well, because I don't want to get too far down the road spiritually here in this conversation, but I will tell you this: I don't think God is a God of coincidences. I think that
Right.
I think that there's free will. I think there's things like that happen. We have to make choices.
Yeah.
Sometimes we make good ones. Sometimes we make bad ones. But He is not a God of coincidences.
He's not a God of coincidences. So how do we balance the and we would need a whole nother podcast for this, but just give us a really brief, as brief as you can. How do we balance the understanding that God is sovereign with free will? You know, there being no coincidences, that God orders our steps, and that He also gives us the freedom to make choices. I mean, where do we?
Well, I don't think it's as hard as it sounds.
Okay.
So I emphasized this a moment ago, and I'll do it again. Yeah. God is not a God of coincidences.
Okay.
He is very, very mindful of what He wants to do and how it's going to happen.
All right.
Okay. We still have to make choices, right? So the choices is about our ability to make the right ones, as opposed to whether or not God is a God of coincidences. Let me give you an example,
Okay.
if I can. Let's talk about one of my favorite curmudgeons in the Old Testament.
All
Is
right.
it okay to do that?
Yeah, sure.
Let's talk about Naaman.
I'm a fan of curmudgeons.
Let's talk about Naaman.
All right.
Big leader in the Syrian army.
Right.
Was it Syrian army?
Syrian, I believe so.
Had big problem is he had leprosy,
Which was
a death sentence.
exactly,
It's a
and
death
and
sentence.
not only that, but like you were excommunicated if you had leprosy.
That's right.
Okay.
So the servant of his wife knows a prophet.
Yeah, I know somebody, right?
I know somebody. He goes, if you go see this guy here, I think he's going to tell you something really, really good, and it's going to fix your problem.
Okay.
Faith of a young girl.
Right.
So Naaman's wife probably hacks at him a little bit and says, you better go do this.
Right.
Right? So he goes. All of his armies and all of his stuff. He's got a lot of money with him and all this. And he speaks to the assistant of the prophet.
Right.
And the assistant of the prophet goes to the prophet. The prophet doesn't even meet with him.
Yeah.
He just says, go tell him to dip in the Jordan 7 times.
Jordan River,
The Jordan River 7 times.
which was nasty.
A nasty, muddy river.
Right.
So the servant goes and tells him that. He goes, what? Do you know who I am? Do you know where I live?
Yeah.
Do you know back where I live, we don't have mud holes like that stinkhole.
Right.
We got these really pristine, clean rivers. Why don't you go tell me to dip in those?
Yeah.
Nope. Got to go do what he says.
Mm-hmm.
You have to go dip in the Jordan. Okay, so here's the deal. God was very precise.
Extremely precise. Yeah.
7 times.
Mm-hmm.
It still was going to be up to Naaman to make a choice. Am I going to go dip 5 times?
Yeah.
Am I not going to go dip at all? Am I going to take the fast horse back to my land and dip in a clean river? He had to make that choice. God was very precise what the order was. No coincidence.
So the provision was there.
Right.
God had already ordered
Right.
the provision.
Right.
It was just the free will of Naaman whether or not he was going to have access.
Exactly. So what does he do? He goes to the river.
Well, no, he complains.
He complains.
He says, I'm not doing this.
Yeah, I'm
going home.
I'm going home. And then little servant girl communication comes up and goes, what do you got to lose, dude?
Yeah.
This is what I told you to go do. Go do it.
She calls him out.
Yeah, calls him out. She goes, who do you think you are?
Right.
This is the prophet who told you to do this and you're going to ignore him? So he goes, okay, I'll do it. I'll go. He goes down there. I don't think he believed all the way down he was actually going to do it.
No. I honestly believe, like, he's gone down 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, and he's probably grumbling. Like, if he's like us.
Yeah.
You know,
water's dirty. I
can't believe I'm down here doing this crap.
My royal robes look like Georgia clay.
I'm gonna have to throw this stuff away when I'm.
Yeah.
What is that smell?
Right. So he dips 4 times.
Yeah.
He dips 5. He dips 6. Do you think he thinks? Well, what if I stop at 6.5?
Yeah.
I don't think he believed.
I don't think
6.5.
I don't think he believed coming out of the water at 7. He was probably still grumbling.
Yeah. But he dips 7 times, comes out of the water, guess what? Clean as a baby's skin.
I thought you was going to say
something. I know what you thought I was going to say. So to me, that's a great example in my mind. God had a plan.
Yeah.
It's a very precise plan. And we can go to all kinds of scriptural references if you choose about similar things where God was very precise on what had to happen, but it was still up to the will of the people to decide if they were going to do that or not.
Right. I just like Naaman. I mean, the one that comes to my mind is the Joshua and the Jericho, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
one of my favorites. Yeah.
They're already like thinking that they're surely going to face defeat. Of course, when I think about this, I think of the VeggieTales ones. Yeah. I don't know if you saw them.
I'm sorry, I don't do cartoons.
It's classic. let the grandkids watch it. It's worth
maybe I'll watch it.
It's entertaining. The Jericho, what do you call them? Jerichoites are up on top of their beans and they're talking to them in a French accent. It's pretty cool. Anyway, funny. They're walking around and I think maybe there was some precision in the instructions of God in that too. Because
absolutely, that would have been my second choice for an example.
Right? Don't be quiet.
Yeah.
Don't grumble. Don't complain.
Don't play nothing.
Just be silent.
Right.
I just want to see your raw obedience in what I'm doing.
Right.
Not grumbling about it, not complaining about it, but maybe just walk it out. Right. So you guys to try to bring this back to your story with Karen, you guys had a couple of those moments where you were in the middle of this crisis in Hawaii, and the precision of God just shows up, right?
Yeah.
So will you? I know the story.
Yeah.
Will you just talk to me so that these guys can hear some of the precision and the
right. So we'll go back to last week for just a second.
Right.
That is, we're told what hospital to go to, and it happens to be the best hospital in Hawaii.
Right, like Fruit Punch Hospital,
Punch Bowl.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we get there, we go through all this, and it just so happens, I'll say as a question, that the surgeon on call is the best surgeon in all of Hawaii to deal with this procedure. So that's pretty precise.
And she's working the ER, right? So she's the on call.
She's on call for this type of thing.
Wow.
Right. So there's that. So Karen gets through the surgery, and
Before we blow past that, because I think it needs being restated. She is 4 days in to this, five days to this diagnosis, and every day,
chance of living is
her percentage of living drops dramatically.
Yeah.
Like the first day, you catch it the first day, you got a 90-something% chance of making it out of this. And I can't remember what the exact percentage.
Yeah, I don't
you told
either,
me.
but
I seem to remember like day 2 it drops to like 80 or 70 to 80%.
Right.
Day 3 it drops to 50, 60%. Day 4 it drops down to 40. We're talking day 5 now.
Yeah.
We're talking like it's shrunk from here to here.
Right.
And the fact that the surgeon that needed to be there
was there.
they didn't have to call them in from a different island.
No.
And Hawaii has, I mean, like if you wanted to jump from island to island, how long does that take you
Not
to go
long.
from?
I mean, it's not long, but the whole point was she was where we needed her to be. She was where God needed her to be.
Right. Especially
Simple as
now
that.
in this process where we're not measuring this thing in days, we're measuring it in hours.
And you could see it, Zach, in the eyes of the people who were working with
wow,
her. This is
big. Yeah.
big deal, right? So anyway, so important that people realize that God placed us where we were with the right surgeon
Yeah.
to deal with Karen's situation. Do I think that was a coincidence? Absolutely not.
How many times have we gone in and had people look at our charts?
Right.
Maybe we've had a physical done, or maybe we've had blood work done, and the assistant or someone who is, I remember as a kid having some blood tests run because there were some levels that they wanted to check. Well, there was a physician that wasn't my physician, but mine was on vacation, but they read the charts and they read it like I was an adult. And of course, children's enzyme levels are different than adults' enzyme levels. Right. There's some developmental stuff that's going on.
Sure.
He started ordering panel after panel after panel because he didn't know how to read my charts.
Right.
The fact that the surgeon was there, that it wasn't, you didn't have to work through the potential mistake of someone who wasn't familiar with this condition. There was someone on duty, on call, right there to do that. So when you guys get in there and they finally start getting Karen to a manageable place where they weren't as concerned. Right. I mean, you were past the immediate. Now it's still very immediate because she could have.
Well, we didn't know what the results were going to be on
Right.
that tumor.
That's right.
So,
Forgot about the whole
yeah,
cancer
we were,
thing.
so there's very early in the rehab process where she's in the hospital. They put her in a semi-private room.
Right.
And this is another one of those like, how could this be?
Right. Now, for us, we were worried to death about you guys.
Yeah,
it was breaking my heart that y'all were there alone.
Yeah, and the church family, I will tell you, was great. I mean, they and I kept giving 2 times a day updates on where things were. But they put her in a semi-private room, and there's a lady in the next bed, and has bone cancer.
Yeah.
Right. So she's there, and I introduce myself to her, and Karen's like pretty out of it.
Yeah.
And she says, "Well, I'm so and so." And I tell her, she goes, "Why is your wife here?" And I told her, she goes, "Well, my husband is so-and-so. I'm not going to mention his name.
Yeah.
My husband is so-and-so. He's an evangelist known
In
the world, not just in the U.S.
Right.
He goes, "I'm going to have my prayer team pray for you and your wife.
Yeah.
Right? That she recovers from this." Right? So who put her in the room, right?
And here
what are
we
the
are
chances, right?
on the other side of the world,
Right.
almost, and we're crying out saying, "God, you gotta put some people in their path."
Okay, so hear this one. You ready for this one?
Okay.
This, you want to talk about other side of the world?
Yeah.
So day 2 after her surgery, so it's 3 days into her hospital stay. This little Asian, I think Vietnamese, I don't know, Vietnamese girl comes to the room, says, she was hesitant. She goes, "Is this Karen Good's room?"
Uh-huh.
I said, "Yeah." She goes, "Well, I know so-and-so in Blue Ridge, Georgia.
Wow.
And they told us about you being here. And my little prayer group is going to be praying for her every day. Matter of fact, I'm here to pray for Karen.
Wow.
And I'll be back to pray again."
Man. In the place that you felt like you were all alone, right? Where
6,000 miles from
Yeah.
Blue Ridge, Georgia.
how many hours, like flight hours?
9 hours.
9 hours.
9 hours
Wow.
of a direct flight, right? So this little person that doesn't know Karen, doesn't
Yeah.
know me, doesn't know anything, doesn't know what she looks like. She knows her circumstance, and she comes and looks us up. She goes, "I'm an emissary dispatched by God
Yeah, right.
from your friends in Blue Ridge, Georgia, to pray for your wife."
Wow. So one of my, and I know I'm going to get grief from you, because anytime I say my favorite, right, you're like, you got a million favorites. You can't, that's not a fair statement. But one of this one and Romans 8:38 and 39 is probably my two favorite passages, depending on the day.
Right.
Psalm 68:6 says that God places the lonely in families. And that's how much he loves us.
Yeah.
That's how much he cares for us, that he surrounds us, that we don't have to walk down this path alone. We don't have to, this journey that we've been walking down, these places that we have to, these seasons we have to walk through. God says, you don't have to do it alone. Number one, his son never leaves us, nor does he ever forsake us. But he gives us friends, and he gives us those, even the people that we don't even know.
Right.
Like,
Well, let me tell you a couple of stories.
all right.
So, we're renting a car from Turo, this
Yeah.
thing where you actually basically have a broker and you're renting some person's car.
Right.
And so the guy, the Asian guy who was running it, a young guy, was just seemed to be all over it. I mean, he knew exactly what he was doing. We had this Ford Bronco, and it was, cost quite a bit.
Yeah.
And all I'm doing is running back and forth to the hospital. And so I said, I called him up. I said, I don't think I need this expensive of a car, because my wife's in critical condition at the hospital, and all I'm doing is going back and forth to the hospital.
Yeah.
He goes, "Oh, is there anything I can do?" I said, "Well, if you can just get me a less expensive car." And he said, "Tell you what, I'll have a new car there. It'll be half the price of the other one. And I'll even set the price that you had paid. We'll reduce that to the price of this car." He didn't have to do that. Now, was he a Christian? No, he was not. He was not.
Yeah.
But, he had a heart,
Right.
right? And then get this. We're staying in this. We talked about this last week. It's embarrassing. But we would never do this except for this trip. And we were staying in one of the most expensive rooms in this big stinking resort. And
Well, it was the trip of a lifetime.
trip of a lifetime. And, I'm sitting there thinking, we're not going to do anything fun the entire rest of this trip. I need to figure out a way to cut my expenses.
Yeah.
Right?
Because you guys ended up staying.
We were there
Like,
23 days.
Yeah.
Right?
And
Something
you were
like
only
that.
going to be there, was it 13?
13 days.
13 days?
Yeah.
So an extra 10 days.
Yeah. So anyway, I go to the front desk. I said, "Look, here's my situation. My wife's in critical condition. This vacation has turned into a
Nightmare.
nightmare.
Yeah.
And we're hoping she's going to recover okay, but I just can't keep paying this amount of money for this room. Is there anything at all you can do? You come back on your way back in, and we'll have something figured out." Come back in, they say, "We're going to reduce the price of your room to 1/3 of what you were paying.
Oh, wow. So
And you don't have to go change rooms, Mr.
you didn't have to change your room?
You stay right where you are."
Wow. That's good stuff.
Isn't it great?
right there.
I mean, so, I just don't think there are any coincidences.
Yeah.
I mean, I go a step further. I bet somebody at that desk was put there with the best customer service attitude in the whole world because I needed that.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I know on our end, whenever we were talking to you and found out that your situation had turned and Karen had gotten this dire report, I was reaching out to everybody that I knew how to get a hold of, and had no idea if there was any connections there, but. A mutual friend of ours says, "Well, I know the governor. You want me to make a?" I was like, "Well, don't send in the military just yet." But it's amazing how when we find ourselves in those moments of need, and we're not to rehash last week, but we talked about David. Yeah. You know, David going out and fighting the giant Goliath, and he walks out to this creek bed. He didn't carry rocks with him.
No.
They were there waiting for him when he got there. And God had smoothed those things out, and they were exactly what they needed to be to fit into his sling. And there's debate about why he picked up 5.
Who knows?
He only shot 1, but
he only needed 1.
He only needed 1. Maybe he took the other 4 back to his brothers and said, "Here's you a souvenir.
Yeah, let me sign this.
Yeah, you want me to sign this for you?" Just kind of rub it in their face a little bit, right?
Who knows?
But I mean, that's how we see God showing up over and over and over and over. I can't.
And you remember, if you remember last week, I told you I had this very shake my fist at God conversation.
Oh yeah.
And his response was, "You don't think I got this? Let me show you. Let me show you David.
Yeah.
Let me show you Moses. Let me show you how Abraham tried to fix something that was out of his wheelhouse. And then I fixed it by giving him his son. Let me show you Esther. Let me show you the man at the gate who was there precisely at the right time."
Oh, now you're kicking me.
I don't know why I'm kicking you.
That story, we've read the story of the man at the gate beautiful a ton.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's right there, Acts chapter 3. The nonprofit that we're a part of is named specifically after that interaction. Yeah. I mean, it's a story that's close to our heart. And if you really dig in and see what that passage says, and you allow yourself to get more than just the surface level of the story. You know, the surface level of the story is Peter and John shows up. They say, "Silver and gold we don't have, but what we do have we're going to give to you. Get up and walk," right? And we all want to clap our hands. "Oh, God's so good." But the reality of his situation is he'd been there for 40 years.
Right.
How many times had Jesus himself walk past that very man?
And how many times did this guy think, "I just feel so really, really bad today. I don't want anybody to carry me out, so I can't do it."
Right. And it was this day, at this appointed time. I got upset with God. I know you said you shook your fist at God, and we can talk some more about that in a minute. I read this, and when it became real, that passage, when it finally became real to me, I got upset. I was like, Jesus, how could you walk past this man?
But it was the precision.
It was the precision.
It was the precision of God. I don't understand his timing.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think we've ever... You and I have discussed about this before, but Karen's condition could have been seen months before, when she had an episode where she had this crazy, unbelievable pain. We took her to the emergency room in Atlanta, and they couldn't figure out what it was.
Wow.
Right. Turns out that this is what it was.
This is what it was.
So we had to go on a trip of a lifetime, 6,000 miles away, to a hospital we've never been before, to trust people we've never met before, for God's precision to be played out.
So if there's no coincidences, especially for those who are walking in the path that we feel like that God has ordered for them, and they're being obedient, like Naaman, right, and like the children of Israel at Jericho, like so many other guys that we can. I mean, we can
Right.
just rattle off story after story.
Right.
It's really easy for us to read those stories and then see the outcome and say, okay, hindsight, we see that they had to walk around the city of Jericho as God prescribed, and then on the last day then we see the victory. The walls come tumbling down, right? Or Naaman comes out and his skin is as clean as a baby's, right? We see the end. But in those moments, we don't always realize that maybe the reason why God has asked us to walk this path out in faithful obedience is because he's doing something. What do you think God was doing for you guys?
As a Christian, you can always use the words that God is real, God is real, God is real. And I think a lot of times we mean it, but we haven't actually experienced it. Right? This was experiencing it.
Yeah.
I mean, he was more real to both of. I mean, it's a life-changing deal. I mean, anytime you're in a situation like that, and God brings you out of it, and he performs all these things, and you see all these things happen that you wouldn't have expected that they would happen. You walk out of. If you don't walk out of that changed, I don't know. There's something wrong with you. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, my level of obedience, my level of believing, my level of understanding the why and the how is much, much different. And I would have never achieved that had we not gone through what we went through.
I know not only am I honored to be your friend, but I say this with reservation, not because of anything, but because of that's just who I'm. I'm honored. I get to be your pastor.
Yeah.
And from this side of the table, I've seen since you guys came back a depth that maybe was there. But there were, maybe the way that I better describe it is the well was dug. There was just stuff in the well.
I think that's right.
And God used this to get the junk out.
Yeah.
And there's a clarity and a confidence in our conversations, especially, when you call me up and you say, hey, I don't know what to do with this, but I was praying and I felt like God said this, and I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do with this here, type stuff.
Yeah.
And you do that to me a lot.
I do.
I'll
admit it.
I'm grateful, but I don't know that there was that depth.
I don't think so.
Beforehand.
I don't think there was. And I think that's, God showed us something.
Yeah.
Right? He showed himself in a different way that I think you have to realize the depth of his love and concern, that he orchestrates things on your behalf, and you wouldn't have thought that before. I mean, I don't know what a non-believer would do.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what they would do, in a situation like that. All I know is what he did, what he said he was going to do, and that he took people who I didn't even know.
Yeah.
Right? And made them instrumental in what happened.
So we've talked a lot about some really difficult seasons you've had to walk through. And I know from our relationship that you've been a man of faith for a while.
I have, yeah.
And there was, when you walked through what you did with your son and your wife and your sons and your wife, and dealing with the addictions, and another shameless plug, if you don't know about that one, listen to the
episodes 2 through 5.
Bingo, 2 through 5. Go check that out because it's an amazing story. of resilience. And so I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about this process that God did out in Hawaii. My thoughts are, and I may be wrong, but do you feel like that walking through that season, that because it was a very difficult season with your son, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you feel like that the process of walking through that season caused there to be debris and stuff that fell into the spiritual well?
Oh, there's no doubt. There's no doubt. Even though I've been a Christian, and I was a Christian through the whole situation with my son, I felt alone.
Yeah.
And I allowed myself to be isolated because people were not jumping out of the window to come and help me deal with my situation or counsel me or pray. I mean, I'll be honest with you. The one church I was going to that basically said you can't do ministry here anymore, I don't ever recall those guys praying for me.
Wow.
And that kind of put me in a bad spot. I think that the situation in Hawaii was fulfillment of a plan.
So I heard you say alone. You said you felt alone in the first season. You were alone in this past season.
But I never felt that way.
But you didn't feel that way. No. And to me, that blows my mind. How you were surrounded by your faith family in that first season. You are literally separated from your faith family and anyone that has any. I mean, it would have taken us 10 hours to get to you guys at the very least. And being that far away, 6,000 miles, you were still surrounded by.
Yeah. Let me tell you why I think that's
okay.
True. I think a lot of people miss this. God doesn't do any of these things like this except for Him to be glorified.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. Some of the stories that we will never forget from the scriptures are made most memorable because of God's accuracy and His timing. We just talked about some of them today. And one we didn't talk about is Joseph. But
I was just
that poor guy, right? What was he thinking during that whole time? But time after time after time, and this is what God tried to show me. He says, "You don't have a clue, dude."
Everybody wants to be the Joseph at the end of the story,
right?
Second in command only to Pharaoh,
right?
Wielding all the power of the one of the greatest nations that has ever been,
right?
But nobody wants to go through that process,
right? So God allowed us to be where we were so that He would be glorified.
Yeah.
Right? We will never forget, what He did. And I'm hoping that people who are watching this will go, wow, is that a God story?
Yeah.
Because I tell you what, and this kind of goes back to what we said earlier about, do I think there's any coincidences? No, I don't, because God wants to be glorified through His actions.
Yeah.
And our response to those.
See, our perception sometimes, though, in those seasons, like I'm sitting here thinking about the Joseph story. Betrayed by his brothers, thrown into a pit, thinking that was probably the worst day of his life.
Wasn't,
not by far. He gets sold into slavery. That's got to be the worst day. Wasn't.
Gets lied about.
He goes working for Potter. Finally works his way out of this hole he was in. Then he gets betrayed by this woman who has devious intentions. Gets thrown into prison. Forgotten about. And then, we know the story. Ends up through providence and the hand of God moving on his behalf. Interpreting the dreams of not only his fellow slaves, but Pharaoh himself. Yeah. Ends up number 2. Then has his family brought before him. And he has this opportunity to do whatever. I think he has a little fun with his family.
Oh, I think he does too,
but,
to a degree.
And I can't blame him for any of that. We all want to be the Joseph at the end of the story. But
you got to walk through some stuff.
looking through it's easy to sit here and know the end and say, okay, Joseph, it's going to be all right, right? But when we're reading about the pit, it was the pit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like he was alone.
Right. He was.
And I wonder how many times the precision of God looks like chaos to us.
Well, I think it does. And I'll tell you what, when this trip started out, that's kind of what I thought.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. We're 6,000 miles away from everything we know, right? And we're stuck here. We don't even know what's going to happen, right? And then God shows up, in a way that I can't explain.
Yeah. So you had a moment, you kind of touched on it a little bit in the last episode, but it was powerful. And I think it plays into this, that you had a moment, you said you were shaking your fist at God. And all the planning, all the resources that you guys had poured into this, all the time that was taken off, and because you're a pretty busy dude. Just to Mostly, go fishing, you have to move around a lot of different things.
Yeah, pretty busy.
Get people to cover your bases for you. But to be gone for 13 days and then have another 10 days added on to it because of this, didn't know when you were going to get to come home.
Yeah.
You said you had this moment where you shaking your fist at God, and then it was almost like a Job moment when God says, "Where were you at when I did this, and this?" Right?
It was humbling.
And he told you something. What was it again that God told you?
He said, "I've got the Karen situation.
Yeah.
I've got it." And that's kind of what ticked me off, right?
Don't worry about Karen.
Don't. It's like he's blowing it off.
Right.
I need you to worry about this, and this. You don't need to worry about that. And I go, what are you talking about?
Right.
I might lose my wife, and you say that to me.
Yeah.
He goes, but where were you?
Yeah.
Let me show you some stuff. Let's you and I go through a walk. Bruce, you and I are going to go through a walk through Scripture.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about David. We're going to talk about this. I'm going to show you this. I'm going to show you this. You could almost be there when Moses is
standing at the Red Sea.
Standing at the Red Sea.
Right.
Who do you think made all that happen? And then you're worried about whether or not I've got Karen when I just told you I do. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's freaky.
Yeah.
Freaky experience.
So you were talking about Moses standing at the Red Sea. I can't imagine what that must have been like to have that obstacle in front of you. There's nowhere to go. God has delivered you out miraculously.
Right.
And now the army of your greatest enemy is bearing down on you. And if they catch you, they're going to kill you.
Yeah.
Right? And Moses says something. I think it's Exodus 14:14 or 13:14, something like that. He says, "Do not fear.
Right.
The enemy that you see before you is never going to come after you again."
Yeah. You see, that's what God was telling me: is do not fear.
Yeah.
Fear. He goes, you think I'm blowing this off? What I'm telling you is you should not fear.
Yeah.
Because the author and finisher of your faith has a plan. Let me do my plan.
Man,
and it was the very next day, Zach, that some of this stuff started falling in place. You're going to say something about the power, right?
Yeah.
When are you ready?
Well, it's recording right now.
Oh.
So they just heard you say something about the power.
So, Zach, why don't you explain to him what just happened?
So we were in the middle of a great conversation, and ordinarily we would go back through and we would re-record all of this, but we felt like that the conversation was just too good to we're in the middle of a pretty good thunderstorm out there. We've got dogs going crazy all around us and lost power. So we're just going to jump right back into our conversation. Yeah. We were talking about fear and how fear just jacks us up, and what it must have been like for the children of Israel to be standing there at the Red Sea. And you were making a statement that you said that it was in the middle of that conversation when God told you, don't worry about Karen, that things started changing.
Yeah, I mean, the very next, that morning, right?
Yeah.
So I go to the hospital that morning, And of course, she's in a hospital bed, she has no idea what's going on. And they put her in a semi-private room, and then that's when the first thing happens with the wife of an evangelist who's got her own problems, because my prayer staff's going to be praying for you guys right now.
So the moment that you started walking in faith, the moment immediately preceding or immediately after,
right, same day,
you had this conversation with God, people started showing up.
Exactly.
And God started, he didn't just he didn't just say, hey, don't worry about Karen. He started reinforcing it.
Absolutely.
Right? I told you, I've got this.
So here's the deal. 3:00 in the morning, I'm having this conversation with God.
Yeah.
9:00 in the morning, he says, watch this.
Yeah. Wow. Man, I know that God can use all things to work for our good.
Right.
You know, the hard part for us is to realize in those difficult seasons that there's a purpose to this uncomfortable moment.
Right.
And I don't want to diminish the moment by any stretch of the imagination. Some of us are walking through hell.
Yeah.
And you would probably have classified y'all's situation, the uncertainty of it all, not knowing whether or not the mass, because we haven't even talked about that. The mass that they said was likely cancer
was not
cancer.
Right. Took us over a week to get the answer.
And this entire time you're worried because you have a medical background.
Yeah, I mean, so her circumstance was, if you don't do this surgery today, you might die. And oh, by the way, even if we do the surgery today,
you still might die.
Yeah. Right? And so it was kind of a double whammy.
Yeah.
But, God, and that's one of the things that we really don't talk about much, but, he healed Karen.
Absolutely.
So not only did he bring us through this whole situation, not only did he put all kinds of things in the process there to show his precision and his accuracy, but he also was the healer.
Yeah, this conversation. Now we talk on a boat a lot.
Yeah,
and as much as we talk about it, they're going to think that that's all we ever do is go fishing. But the truth of the matter is very few and far between. But when we do go, we have a great time. We talk about life, and sometimes we get into politics and but we always talk about faith.
Right.
And this. Sitting on this side of the table, it is very easy for me to see, and I know it's from my perspective, it's always going to be easier. It's easier for you to see God's movement in my life sometimes before I even start perceiving it.
Right.
But on this end, I remember the conversation that we had that was born out of the season that you'd walked through, and you told me that you felt like that you didn't have a personal prayer language anymore.
Yeah.
And because we were talking about
you
gifts
bring
of the
it up
Spirit.
again.
I am, because it's my favorite story.
Okay.
One of the hundreds of favorite stories that I have. I believe that this trip to Hawaii is tied in with that.
I do. I believe so.
I don't. There's no way for you to convince me that it's not. I see God's hand and Him deepening that well again.
Yeah, I think that's right.
There's a moment that is very poignant at the end of the Gospels. Jesus is sitting in an upper room with his disciples, and he's sharing the last meal.
Right.
And they're all jockeying. They've all come in, and they're sitting there talking about who's going to wash whose feet, because it's usually the lowest person on the totem pole, and nobody wanted to be that guy. Jesus comes in, and he puts a towel around him, and he starts washing their feet. He gets to Peter, and God bless Peter. He says the quiet things out loud. You're not going to wash my feet. Take that off.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it.
Right.
And this is after Jesus has already washed the rest of the room, right?
Right.
You're not supposed to wash my feet. Well, where were you when, he was washing John's feet?
Yeah. I didn't see you jumping in on that one.
So Jesus makes this statement, and he says, if I don't wash your feet, you don't have anything to do with me. And then Peter, going to the other extreme, says, then wash all of me. And Jesus' response is this, and this is kind of what made me think of the well. Someone who's freshly clean and just been on a short journey doesn't need a bath. They've just walked through some stuff.
Right.
Their feet are dirty.
Right.
And the truth of the matter is that when we walk through our life, it's not about whether we've gone out there and done blatant sin or not. Sometimes we just have to walk through junk.
Right.
As we're walking through junk, we just pick up junk.
Right.
And if we aren't careful, and if we don't have these moments where God comes in and just dredges the junk out of our well, to go back to our analogy, I think God does tremendous things.
Yeah.
Sometimes those tremendous moves that we need in our life requires drastic things to happen in our life to get our attention.
That's right.
And just from sitting on this side of the table, I see how God has been leading you back to a place of abundance and a place of deepening the well.
Yeah.
And I think this was just a part of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really important that all of the listeners get this, and that is the fact that God's desire for you is to have a deeper walk with Him.
Yeah.
And He's going to present opportunities for that to happen. And I sitting here today, a little bit more than a year after what happened, I can tell you that my walk with Him would not be anything like it is now had we not gone through what we went through. And I say that's true for Karen.
Yeah. Well, it's obvious in your walk. Again, Bruce, thank you for being transparent. Thank you for opening up the pages of your book that God's written, your life, and not holding anything back. And maybe today someone's listening and they're standing in one of those places right now. That's what our hope is, right?
Right. Exactly.
That our stories haven't fell on deaf ears, but maybe it is resonating with someone who is walking through something very similar, and you don't understand what's going on, and you don't see the hand of God physically moving. Our goal is just we want to be a voice of reassurance.
Right.
You can't see how the pieces fit, maybe, and maybe even the time feels wrong, and you're not sure that you're even on the right road. We want you to know that don't give up, because God's still working.
Absolutely.
And some of the things that He may be doing may be very extremely significant. We've walked enough miles to know this, that we don't confuse not being able to see God's plan with there not being one.
Right. Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
God always has a plan.
Absolutely.
Matter of fact, He has a plan for even when we miss the plan.
Yeah. It's called a backup.
It's called a backup plan. So we're gonna close this thing out. It's starting to get a little more precarious outside, but we just want to encourage you guys. Just keep walking. Someday this might be one of the stones that you look back on today, what you're walking through. Thanks, Bruce.
Thanks.